You really question Darwin's assertion that only the fittest survive when you consider the antics of famed motorcycle daredevil Evel Knievel. Back in 1974, Mr. Knievel got it into his head to jump the Snake River Canyon and have the attempt broadcast on live television. He announced that the stunt would occur near Twin Falls, Idaho, and that he'd jump from the canyon's south cliff to the north one, spanning a suicidal distance of nearly 3/4 of a mile. Because no Harley-Made has that kind of engine power, Knievel employed what was, for all intents and purposes, a two-wheeled rocket ship dubbed the Sky Cycle. The spectacle ended up as one of the most famous non-events in the checkered history of television because the major networks refused to cover it. The good news was that Knievel survived. The bad news was that the jump was a bust. It began well enough, with the rocket roaring to life under the secure watch of the guy who built it, a former naval rocket engineer. The Sky Cycle's parachute system wasn't as well behaved. Unfortunately, it deployed early, almost as soon as their daredevil was airborne. Knievel drifted slowly, safely to the canyon bottom, the wind blowing him back to the south side to a spot just below his point of origin. The Snake River Canyon would remain unjumped for decades to come. When stuntman Eddie Braun accomplished the feat in 2016, he used a rocket-powered motorcycle designed by the son of the engineer who had developed Knievel's. I'm going to use this jump by Knievel, a true American original, to describe something puzzling about another American original, the K-16 education system of the United States. To understand where the parallels lie, let's begin, perhaps unconventionally, at the end. All steak, no sizzle. Much empirical evidence exists to support the self-serving, chest-puffing observation that higher education in the United States is the envy of the world. According to the research magazine Nature, nearly 2/3 of the world's highest-rated universities are American, including 3 of the top 5. The ratings may be well-deserved, if award-winning productivity is any measurement. More Nobel Prizes have been given to U.S. scientists than to scientists in the next 5 represented countries combined. The United States is especially strong in natural science Nobels. Most are awarded to people who are, or were, employed by those top-ranked universities. Think of higher education in the United States as the terminating north cliff of Knievel's Snake River Canyon attempt, only with a happy ending. In this metaphor, U.S. elementary schools are Knievel's starting point on the south side of the canyon, and they are similarly solid. The federal government, in the form of the National Assessment in Educational Progress, or NAEP, has been measuring school performance for decades, and its findings show that elementary schools are doing a pretty good job. Although U.S. students are well known to be underperformers in math, NAEP's findings show that our 4th graders' elementary math scores have increased 11% since the early 1970s. Reading scores have also improved, up 6% in the same kids and over the same time span. American elementary school scores have been rising like yeast for years, and they are sufficiently robust, comparing favorably with schools in other countries. So, the two sides of the U.S. education canyon are in good shape. And if all you had to go on were these 2 data points, you'd think the system could be drawn as a statistically pleasing straight line that begins in quality elementary education and terminates at the pearly gates of Nobel Prize-festooned colleges. Unfortunately, we're going to have to fasten our seatbelts for the bumpy landing. A comparison of the scores of recent U.S. 17-year-olds to ones put up by 17-year-olds 40 years ago show not one whit of improvement in math or reading. Teens today actually scored worse in science. This means kids who were tested back when Pong was all the rage in video games achieved at basically the same levels as kids who grew up with Grand Theft Auto. The score differential for minority and disadvantaged youth shows even less progress. This stasis is embarrassing, especially when U.S. language, arts, and math scores are compared with those of the rest of the world.